Hello friends, let's talk about today Indian judiciary, Indian Supreme Court and the judicial system of India. Why? Because today is the 14th May 2025. Why today is so important for our judicial system, Indian judiciary? Because today one new Chief Justice of India has sworn in as 52nd Chief Justice of India after the retirement of former Chief Justice of India, Mr. Khanna. B.R. Gawai has sworn in today. Earlier, he was serving in Bombay High Court for 16 years till 2019. From 2019 till today, he was in Indian Supreme Court. As you know, on the basis of merit and seniority, new judges are being appointed in our judicial system. So, till today, he was the most senior judge of Indian judiciary. That's why he got appointment as a Chief Justice of India. Mr. B.R. Gawai comes from Maharashtra, but before going back to his socio-political conditions, his origin and legacy, let's talk about his certain judgments which has been there for last 10 years, very critical in Indian politics and society, because Indian politics and society has been influenced, shaped by these judgments, where the current Chief Justice Mr. B.R. Gawai has been the part of that hearing. Number one, which is the most controversial judgment given by Supreme Court of India, the abrogation of Article 370. These are the certain judgments where everybody was looking at Indian judicial system. Once again, there was another judgment which is very controversial in Indian polity and society, which is demonetization. You know, the Indian government, the current government has come up with a policy of demonetization in 2016. The case went to Supreme Court, and in that ruling, Mr. Gawai was also the part of that ruling. Another judgment which has shaped and going to shape Indian politics and society in coming future, because that is about the subclassification of SC/ST reservation. Mr. Gawai has given his uh, ruling in the favor of subclassification of SC/ST reservation, meaning quota within quota. There are other judgment uh, which has influenced our Indian politics, which is striking down of the policies like electoral bonds. Chief, Chief Justice was also part of that judgment. He has given certain weights to certain politicians recently, which has been talk of the town. One of them is Vice Chief Minister of Delhi, Mr. Sisodia, Manish Sisodia. He was granted bail by Mr. Gawai. The activist Tista Sitalwar also has been granted bail. Go back to 2024, where our Chief Justice, the current Chief Justice, Mr. Gawai, has been addressing a meeting in Maharashtra, and he has acknowledged the contribution of our constitutions and the father of constitution, Dr. Ambedkar, where he says that uh, the affirmative action has shaped his identity. It is solely due to Dr. B.R. Ambedkar efforts that someone like me who studied in same slum area at a municipal school could attain this position. He had said in a speech in April 2024. So he has given acknowledgement to constitutions and Dr. Ambedkar. There are reasons behind. The reasons are very clear, because he comes from a community which has been known as ex untouchable in this country. He is the second Dalit uh, Chief Justice of India in 75 years, but we can say he has a Buddhist identity as well. So he is the first Buddhist Dalit in India for last 75 years. So we need to understand the Indian society and judicial system, why there has been very less number of judicial appointment, promotion of Dalit, backwards and tribal in the society. The regions are very much clear because of the caste and Brahminical system in the society. But why these caste and Brahminical systems are also operating in so high profile professions like judiciary, bureaucracy, we need to understand that caste is everywhere. We cannot evade, we cannot escape the caste. We cannot say that caste is something which is uh, there in the history. It's not today, but the reality is quite different. We have certain data, we have certain articles written by the great scholars of this country where they have highlighted how Indian judiciary has been discriminatory, has been biased towards Dalit and marginalized communities. So these data are very much there in the public. Some of the data, some of the arguments are there which I would like to share with you. The judiciary has long been dominated by upper caste, particularly Brahmins, often reflecting the structural advantages and networks available to them. The data between 2018 and 2023 indicate that only 17% of high courts appointments were from scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, and OBC. A presentation by the Union Law Ministry to a parliamentary panel in 2024 further revealed that 79% of all High Court judges appointed in the last 5 years belong to upper caste. The judiciary's reluctance to release caste, religion, and region-specific data has only deepened concerns about exclusion and opacity in one of the most powerful branches of the state. In presentation to parliamentary panel on law and justice, the ministry said that 79% of course high court judges are appointed which comes from upper caste background, but there are certain percentages which are shocking in terms of SC, ST and OBC. These data indicate that only 11% OBC are there. There are 2.8% SCs and there are only 1.3% STs are there in our judicial system. So these concerns are also echoing the constitutional bodies like the National Commission for Scheduled Castes have explicitly raised the alarm about the chronic underrepresentation of Dalits in higher judiciary. In its recommendation, the NCSC has advocated for the establishment of National Judicial Appointment Commission (NGAC) and the implementation of reservation in appointments to the High Court and the Supreme Court. The Commission emphasized the need to achieve at least 22.5% representation for the scheduled castes and scheduled tribes in the higher judiciary. We need to understand why uh, there is a talk of caste census going on where Indian government has been pressurized and accepted that they are going to conduct the caste census. When the caste census will be uh, started, of course, the 50% cap of reservation will be quest. The reservation in private sector will be demanded. The reservation in judiciary will be demanded. Of course, it has been a concern by marginalized section of society that they need a reservation in private sector and judiciary. According to the news agency PTI, the ministry also raised the National Judicial Appointments NGAC, which Narendra Modi government had established to replace the collegium system. The ministry said that NGAC had proposed two eminent persons and its members, including one who shall be nominated from SC/ST and OBC communities, or from the minorities or women, in an apparent suggestion that this would remedy the lack of social diversity. The top court struck down the NGAC Act, finding it unconstitutional. So this has been uh, the temperament and the ruling of our Supreme Court, where they have neglected the diversity, they have neglected any kind of representation in Indian judicial system. The reasons are very much clear why these inclusion, why diversity was not appreciated, not welcome in Indian judiciary, because most of the judges who comes from the privileged background, social background, they don't want inclusion and they don't want to share their cakes. So the scholars believe that an overrepresentation of upper caste in the judiciary also biases courts' judgments. About 73% of India's under trials and 60% of death row prisoners were scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, and other backward classes. So, in a sense, when we see that there are less number of judges from these communities, at the same time there are over representation of prisoners from these communities, so there are some certain kind of links between the appointment and the criminal justice system of India. So the National Commission of Scheduled Caste had in 2016 recommended a separate commission for the appointment of judges along with the proportionate reservation in the higher judiciary. In 2000, a parliamentary committee on the welfare of scheduled castes and scheduled tribe also recommended reservation in higher judiciary. So these debates are not new. These debates have come from last 25 years, where these communities has been demanding uh, reservation in private sectors. So one thing which is very important, one needs to understand that why collegium system is there, why, and what were the what what were the time period when collegium system came. You must be knowing that that was the time of 1993 when the collegium system came. Why? Because 1990 onwards there is mandal politics started in this country. The backward classes, Dalits, they started demanding more representation, not only in politics and bureaucracy, but of course in judiciary, and to save judiciary for the haven of so-called upper caste, they have come a certain device where they can stop any kind of diversity and inclusion in the name of collegium. So scholars from various communities, the activists from SST and OBC background, they have raised these concerns that collegium system must be scrapped and there must be free and fair appointment of judges across the country. Let's see what kind of judgment will be delivered by him in coming years, because he is going to be there for 6 months. In coming 6 months, let's see what kind of judgment, what would be his approach towards those issues which are pending for last 30 years, because this is not only data where we can claim that Indian judiciary and the judges are discriminatory and biased, because there are certain judges which has raised certain issues in the past. You must be knowing that the High Court judge of Madras, who has been there, Mr. Chandru, raising the concern that Indian judiciary must be more inclusive and transparent, while referring the case of Justice Karna, who has been charged in the case where contempt of court has been there against him. He was there a High Court judge in West Bengal. Judges from SC, OBC background, they are raising certain kind of issues and biases in judiciary. There are contempt of courts coming against them, but these issues are very serious issues which cannot be denied, which cannot be waited for so long. There must be inclusion, there must be diversity, so that a nation which is more diverse today in terms of its ethnicity, caste, religion, must be represented there, and their voices must be heard. Their people must be there uh, to give certain judgment which are directly and indirectly going to influence to those communities. Thank you.